Missing people are an unfathomably tragic event that can devastate a family. In some cases, it takes decades and in the most unexpected place to find them. And it is the strength and determination of the family to never give up hope that can make the difference. But first, let's check out these women missing for nearly 10 years. Number 10. 3 women missing for nearly 10 years. On May 6, 2013, the police received a chilling call. A woman dialed 911 and reported that she was kidnapped 10 years ago, and she is currently at a home at 2210 Seymour. She also told the dispatcher that she was not alone. 2 other women were with her, Gina De Jesus and Michelle Knight. The last time Amanda's family saw her was one day before her 17th birthday. She called her sister that evening, saying she was catching a ride home from her job at Burger King. Little did they know that it would be the last time they ever heard her voice before she vanished without a trace. Amanda had been held captive for 10 long years when Charles Ramsey, a passing neighbor, heard her desperate cries for help. Acting quickly, he rushed to her aid and kicked open the door, which surprisingly gave way. Freed from her captor, Amanda quickly fled with her daughter, making a beeline for Charles's house to call 911 and seek further assistance. On that day, Gina, who had been abducted in 2004 at the age of 14, and Michelle, who had gone missing in 2002, were both found alive also. 3 suspects, all brothers in their 50s, have been taken into custody. Number 9. Missing child inside secret compartment. Paisley Schultes, a 4-year-old from Cayuga Heights near Ithaca, New York, was reported missing on July 13, 2019. After 2 long years of searching and hope, she has been found alive in her home state. She was discovered in a makeshift room concealed underneath a staircase leading to the basement of her biological parents' home in Saugerties, New York. Police have long suspected that Kimberly Cooper and Kirk Schultes Jr., the biological, non-custodial parents of the girl, were responsible for her kidnapping. Despite conducting multiple searches of their Saugerties home, police had been unable to locate her. On Valentine's Day, however, police received a tip that the girl was in the home, prompting them to return with a search warrant. One of the officers searching the home noticed something odd about the basement steps, which prompted him to take a closer look. After shining a flashlight between the cracks in the steps, he saw what he thought was a blanket. As they continued, they suddenly spotted little feet. Upon further investigation, they found Paisley with her biological mother inside the hidden compartment. Number 8. Sabrina Allen after 12 years. On April 19, 2002, Dara Lawrence allegedly violated a court-ordered child custody agreement by taking her daughter Sabrina away for a scheduled weekend visit and never returning her to her primary guardian, her father, at the end of the weekend. Through information from a confidential informant, Mexican and US authorities have discovered Sabrina and her mother living in seclusion in a small apartment located in a town between Mexico City and Puebla. Sabrina has endured an incredibly difficult upbringing. For the past 12 years, she has been living in hiding, and her mother has gone to great lengths to keep her by her side, including dyeing her hair chestnut brown. She had been denied access to the education she deserves and has been subjected to brainwashing to make her believe her father was a wife-beater and had no interest in her. It is reported that Sabrina had experienced dramatic weight loss, which had a severe impact on both her physical and mental health. Number 7. Abby Hernandez, 9 months in a chamber of horrors. When Abby Hernandez was 14 years old in 2013, she experienced a horrifying ordeal. She was abducted while walking home from school and spent 9 months held captive in a shipping container by a man in New Hampshire. After months of captivity, the horror finally ended for the 14-year-old victim when her kidnapper, Nathaniel Kibbe, released her on a deserted New Hampshire road in 2014. Knowing that the police were closing in, Kibbe had no choice but to free her, bringing an abrupt end to her ordeal. Number 6. Carla Brown found in shipping container. In late August 2016, Carla Brown and Charlie Carver vanished, sending shockwaves through the small South Carolina town they lived in. Authorities had very few clues to go on as they tried to locate the couple. On November 3, 2016, after a period of approximately 2 months, the police were able to trace Carla Brown and Charlie Carver's cell phones, as well as detect Facebook posts related to local realtor Todd Koleb to his large 99-acre property in the countryside. Upon arriving, they heard cries for help from within a storage container. Carla had been subjected to unimaginably inhumane living conditions. Handcuffed and with her legs bound at the ankles, her neck was chained to the wall like an animal in captivity. When asked about her boyfriend Charlie, she sadly reported that her captor, Todd Koleb, had shot him dead and then kept her as a sex slave on the property. Authorities had to cut through 5 heavy-duty locks to gain access to the container. Number 5. The man who abandoned civilization. Not all disappearances are caused by abduction. Some are voluntary due to the individual's own free will. Carlos Sanchez Ortiz de Salazar, a doctor from Seville, was declared dead in 2010 after disappearing 20 years prior. In 1995, at the age of 26, he suffered from severe depression and abandoned civilization. Surprisingly, he was found alive and living in a forest in Tuscany after his 20-year disappearance. 2 mushroom pickers stumbled upon a camp on the Cala Vialina promontory in a nature reserve on the Maremma coast in northern Tuscany. There, they found a tent occupied by a hermit, a former psychiatrist named Carlos. He revealed to them that he had been living there for the past 20 years and even showed them his passport. Carlos warned the foragers that he would have to leave now that his hiding place had been discovered. The mushroom pickers contacted a Spanish Missing Persons Association, who after a month were able to trace Carlos's parents. His parents immediately flew to Italy to search for their son, but to no avail. They discovered that he had vanished again, leaving no trace. Number 4. Timothy Carney disappeared on his way to church. After 7 years of absence, Timothy Carney was found safe and sound. However, there is still speculation that he was never missing at all, but had simply chosen to go off the grid. Timothy's family stated that the last time he was seen alive was on September 28, 2004, when his roommate Roy Anthony spotted him at their Butler Ridge accommodation. Triborough Patch informed that Timothy had contacted his boss to let them know he would be running late, but nothing was heard from him afterward. His vehicle was located on the edge of the road at the Elizabeth and Newark border. Phyllis and Ed Carney devoted years to finding their son, and with the help of the Kristen Foundation, a charitable group that aims to find missing persons, they paid for billboards along Route 23 to advertise Timothy's disappearance, including a phone number for anyone who may have spotted him. And with that, it's now time for today's best pick. Today's photo features a boy missing for 40 years and found in the most unexpected place. Number 3. Missing for 40 years, reunited with mom. Mary, a young girl of 18, fell in love with Peter. They had a young child named Joshua. Peter, as the father and main breadwinner of the family, was already struggling to make ends meet when Mary was pregnant for the second time around. This time, she was carrying twins. Anxious about where he would get the money to support the family, Peter gave Mary an ultimatum. It was him or the twins. She chose her babies and moved in with her parents. After some time, on Joshua's 4th birthday, he suddenly disappeared without a trace while Mary was working. After 40 long years, Mary received a call from the police informing her that Peter had supposedly admitted to being the one who had taken Joshua all those years ago. He revealed Joshua's location to the police. Mary rushed to meet her son, who was living close to her home, and they joyfully spent the rest of her days making up for the lost time. Number 2. Daughter found after 42 years. Nancy Womack had dreamed of reuniting with her daughter for over 40 years. In 1979, her daughter had been taken from her at birth. But now, after 4 decades, she was finally able to fulfill her dream. The reunion was full of emotion and joy as the two embraced and shared stories of their experiences since they had been separated. Nancy hopes to continue to build a relationship with her daughter and cherish this moment for the rest of her life. Nancy was only 16 years old when she found out she was pregnant and living in an orphanage in Dalton, Georgia. After the orphanage director discovered her pregnancy, she was sent to the Bethesda Home for Girls in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Unfortunately, court documents reveal that Nancy and many of the other girls at the home were subjected to abuse. Melanie searched for her biological mother for a long time. After receiving her ancestry results, she was able to contact her mum's sister, Cheryl Blackwell, who responded to the message a year later. After talking on Facebook, the two arranged to meet in person at Nancy's home in Georgia. Finally, after a long journey of searching, Melanie was finally able to meet her mother. Number 1. Woman missing for 2 years found floating at sea. Angelica Gayton, 46, was found in a surprising place, 2 miles out at sea, by fishermen. After initially mistaking her for a log, they were astonished when she raised her arms in the air and they realized it was a person. Shockingly, she had been out of contact with her family for 2 years. Angelica explained that she initially went missing in September 2018 when she escaped an abusive relationship. She had been wandering the streets for 6 months before seeking help at the women's office in Barranquilla. As a result of the abuse she suffered, protection measures were put in place to keep her ex-partner away from her. Unfortunately, on Friday, she was informed that as her ex-partner was no longer in Barranquilla, she was no longer able to remain at the shelter. See you all next time.